Hey there and welcome. Today we are going to describe and identify all parts of a coordinate plane by defining and labeling. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first thing that we need to talk about is the definition of a coordinate point. And a coordinate point is just an ordered pair of values on a graph. We can also call it a location. The purpose for the coordinate point gives a specific location on a graph, and it gives meaning to the data in the real world. When we write it as x comma y, where x moves our graph to the left and right, and y moves our graph up and down. Alright, so let's look at this graph here. There's a lot of parts to it, so let's start labeling them. And the first thing that we should always start with is labeling our axes. I'm going to label this one over here x, y, this one over here is negative x, and then the one at the bottom is negative y. Alright, so now we've labeled our axes. The next part that we need to label is our origin. And our origin is always just that middle point, and we call it 0, 0. Alright, the next part is our quadrants, and we have 4 of them. And you automatically think you know which way it's going to go, but you're probably actually not correct. This is quadrant 1, here's quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Now when we write our quadrants, we write them as Roman numerals. And now we've labeled our quadrants. And then the last part that we need are the signs. So is x positive or negative? Is y positive or negative? And what order do they go in? So in quadrant 1, x is positive and y is positive. In quadrant 2, x is negative but y is positive. In quadrant 3, they are both negative. And in quadrant 4, x is positive and y is negative. Alright, so we're going to graph the point groups. And so what that looks like is we're just going to graph these 3 separate sections of points. So if our first one is at negative 7, 7, first thing I'm going to do is label my axis. So x, y, negative x, and negative y, just so that I can remember where everything is at. And since x goes first and y goes second, I'm going to move to the left 7 spaces and then up 7 spaces. And that brings me to that first point of negative 7, 7. Now I'm going to graph those other 2 points as well. So I have negative 1, positive 1. So from my origin, I'm going to go to the left 1 and up 1. And I'm going to go positive 2, negative 2. So this time my x value is positive, so it's going to move to the right 2 spaces, and then y is negative, so we'll go down 2 spaces. And those were those 3 points. And since we're wondering what quadrants those points are in, that first point at negative 7, 7 is in quadrant 2, along with negative 1, 1. And then negative 2, 2 is in quadrant 4. Alright, so we can have our points listed just like we have here, as just 3 sets of ordered pairs, or we can have them show up in a table of values like we have for this one here. They're both exactly the same. We have our x comma y. So the first x comma y is going to be negative 5, negative 3. So from the origin, I'm going to go to the left 5 places and then down 3 places. And we're going to call that negative 5, negative 3, which is in quadrant 3. Now we've got negative 3, negative 1. So again, from the origin, we go to the left 3 and down 1, which is also in quadrant 3. And then that last one is positive 1, positive 3. So I'm going to move to the right 1 and then up 3 places. We've got 1, 3, which this time is in quadrant 1. All right, and the last one that we have are these three sets of points here. So I've got -2, 0. So I'm going to go to the left 2. I am not going to move to the left or up or down at all because it's telling me that I'm not gonna. So -2, 0. And for this point, we would say that it is between quadrants 2 and 3. Our next point is at 4, 2. So I'm going to go to the right 4 and up 2. And that puts me in quadrant 1. And that last point is at -4, -6. So to the left 4, down 6, which again is in quadrant 3. And that's how we graph the points. We just find that location spot and put a dot. All right, so the last part that we need to do is actually to go the exact opposite direction and find the location of each of the following points. So our first point, point V, is right over here. So from the origin, it looks like we had to go to the left 7, which is negative, and then up 5. So when we write that, we're just going to write that -7, 5. D is our next point. Remember, we always move left or right first, never up or down. When we find our points, we move left or right first. So it looks like we went to the left 6, so -6, and then we did not move up or down at all, so 0. Our next point is K. It looks like we did not move left or right at all. We are on the axis, so 0, comma, and we went down 3, so -3. All right, next point that we're looking for is M. This time it looks like we went to the right 4 and up 6. So right is positive, up is positive, 4, 6. I is the next point. It looks like we went to the right 5 spaces, and then we did not move up or down at all. So 5, 0. And our last and final point is S, where it looks like we went to the left 5 and down 7. Left is -5. Down would be -7. And so now we've found the location of the points. And that's all that we've got. So until next time, I'll see you later. Love you, bye.